Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game Blob Party from designer Pam Walls. This game has delighted me so far. I've played 2 games of it with 5 people and then 8 people, the full 8 player count, and both times were amazing fun. It is in the same, not line of games because it's a different publisher, but it feels very similar to games like Just One, So Clover, Fun Facts, that line of games, if you're familiar with that line of games, because this is a cooperative party game that doesn't put too much pressure on any player, but gives all players an opportunity to feel clever. Um, the hook of the game is also my favorite mechanism and also my favorite component in the game, which is that in Blob Party, I'll show you the other screen right here. I'll click that down, show you what the screen looks like. So everyone at the table, as I said, it can go up to 8 players. Everyone has a little whiteboard pad here and a pen. And also they have a little piece of Play-Doh and a googly eye. And so at the beginning of the game, each player is their own blob. And so you'll put this googly eye on your blob here. You are your own blob. And the goal of the game is to become one cohesive blob. Everyone over the course of 7 rounds needs to become one blob. To do this, you'll flip over a category. It might be like movies, and then a word. And you can, the way that we played the first time we played is that we had a player look at 3 different words and pair that with the category. In the future, I think to make it a little bit more difficult and maybe a little bit more whimsical, we might just flip over one random word to pair with that category. So it might be movies and pizza. So those 2 things might be paired together, and everyone needs to write down anything they want. It could be one word, it can be a phrase, it can be anything they want, in the hopes that all other people will write down the same thing. So movie and pizza. I think there was a Julia Roberts movie called, well, actually, I couldn't write down Mystic Pizza, the Julia Roberts movie I was thinking of, because it has pizza in it, and you can't use the word that's in there. So I would write down a word, a movie that comes to mind, makes me think of pizza. And everyone would then reveal the word or phrase that they chose. And here's where the hook is coming in. Any players who wrote down the same thing or really close to the same thing, and you could, it's up to the group if you have a plural that's slightly different or it's a slightly different take on the word. But if the people who write down the same thing join their blobs together, the blobs join together and become a blob together. And this goes across the table. So if like the green player and the purple player, if they write down the same thing, their blobs join together. And the pink player and the yellow player, say they also somehow match what they say, they become one cohesive blob, but they still operate then as 2 separate blobs. They have the pink and yellow, they have a blob together, and then green and purple will have a blob together. And then moving forward, the next time you flip over another category, another word, next time you do that, the 2 work together. So the purple player and the green player will each still write down a word or phrase, whatever they want to write down, but they'll show each other and they'll choose the one that they think is more likely to match the remaining players, whether they're teams or players at that point. And again, then you combine together. So this is essentially how the game plays, and you're trying to play together until everyone becomes in the same blob. One thing about that I really like, though, is that there's a timer to the game. A lot of these games I often play. I play Fun Facts and So Clover. Oh no, not So Clover, but Fun Facts and Just One, cooperative games of this style. I often play them more as activities in that there is no end point. We just end when we want to stop playing the game, when we want to stop the activity. And that's completely fine. These are great activities where you get to feel clever in both Fun Facts and in Just One. But I really like the timer here in Blob Party, that there are 7 rounds. They have a little bit of pressure as to how long it will take until you have a little bit of pressure as to, can you become a cohesive blob within those 7 rounds. So I really like that. But also just the idea of trying to write down the same thing as everyone else, and not just everyone else in general, but as these blobs start to form, I'm starting to think, okay, I need to write down the same thing as these specific players or this specific group of player we're trying to match there. And also the tactile element of actually having the Play-Doh in the box that you're joining together. There are many other ways that they could have done this component, but just the fact that you actually feel like a blob, like here's our Play-Doh right here. There is an actual blob that you're handing out, this tactile thing that you can see becoming a cohesive blob. I can't wait to share this with more people. As you can tell, I really, really enjoyed my first few plays of this, and I can't wait to play more. So yeah, Blob Party, that is my favorite mechanism in the game. Really the combination of the component of the blob and people trying to figure out the same words or same phrases that other people might write down, paired with the timer. I think the timer is a really clever element. And by timer, I don't mean like a specific amount of time, but just that you have 7 rounds. before you need to be one cohesive blob or you technically lose. Yeah. So yeah, Blob Party. Those are my thoughts on it. If any of these mechanisms remind you of any other similar games, I think one fairly similar one is Green Team Wins, but that is a competitive game, not a cooperative game. And generally, I really like cooperative games of this style, for these style of social games. So yeah, let me know if your thoughts, if you think of other games that are a little bit similar to this. Thanks.